Shri Advaita Srivasade Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are continuing to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14. Would anyone like to say what we read the last time?
Hare Krishna. So we just finished chapter 13 and we read about how the learneds are always advised to read this narration because it can help them to be relieved from sinful reactions, because it talks about the exaltedness of devotional service. It talks about the glorification of the Lord Narayan, and it helps them not only to be relieved from sinful reactions, they become expert in activities of senses. Their opulences increase, their reputation becomes widespread, and they conquer their enemies. And their duration of life also increases. So we heard about, we finished chapter 13 and then we went on to chapter 14 now. And here King Parikshit is also very surprised, and he's asking Sukdev Goswami to explain how could Vritasura attain this kind of exalted love for the Supreme Lord, because we are all in the mode of passion and uh, ignorance. And even though the demigods who are in the mode of goodness, even they can't render pure devotional service. So he's asking about how did he get that pure devotional service for uh, the Lord, and how was that possible? And even now, like we read that in this material world also, we are like so many of us. It's very rare to, so many of us, many living entities are there, and it's very few human beings. Among them, very few are interested in religious principles, and very few really do devotional service. But it's very rare to become a pure devotee. Uh, and yeah, we are going to read on to hear about how the story of Citraketu. He was, uh, Vritasura was Citraketu before, who was the king of Shurasena kingdom. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
So, thank you. So we are going to continue now. Muktanam api siddhanam
Muktanam
api
siddhana
narayana parayana
Narayana Parayana
sudurlabha prashantatma
Sudurlabha Prashantatma
kotishva api mahamune.
Kotishwar Api Mahamune.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O great sage, among many millions who are liberated and perfect in knowledge of liberation, one may be a devotee of Lord Narayan or Krishna. Such devotees who are fully peaceful are extremely rare. So, as you just rightly said, no, that Parikshit Maharaj was so surprised that devotees are so rare. So he's saying this to Sukadev Goswami. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following purport to this verse. Simply desiring mukti or liberation is insufficient. One must become factually liberated. When one understands the futility of the materialistic way of life, one becomes advanced in knowledge, and therefore he situates himself in the Vanaprastha order, unattached to family, wife, and children. One should then further progress to the platform of sannyas, the actual renounced order, never to fall again and be afflicted by materialistic life. Even though one desires to be liberated, this does not mean he is liberated. Only rarely is someone liberated. So, we may desire liberation, But that does not mean that we are factually liberated. One is maybe desiring liberation, but is he factually liberated? Is he actually liberated? So indeed, although many men take sannyas to become liberated, because of their imperfections, they again become attached to women, material activities, social welfare work, and so on. Jnanis, yogis, and karmis, devoid of devotional service, are called offenders. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mayavadi Krishna Aparadhi, one who thinks that everything is Maya, instead of thinking that everything is Krishna, is called an Aparadhi or offender. Although the Mayavadis, impersonalists, are offenders at the lotus feet of Krishna, they may nonetheless be counted among the Siddhas, those who have realized the self. They may be considered nearer to spiritual perfection because at least they have realized what spiritual life is. If such a person becomes Narayana Parayan, a devotee of Lord Narayan, he is better than a Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated or perfect. This requires higher intelligence. So, as there are different degrees, you know, in everything we see there are degrees. So now understanding the absolute truth also, there's degrees. Bhagavatam says one understands the absolute truth as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So understanding the Brahman, that's the preliminary stage. But one has to go further, engage further, try to understand more about spiritual life. And when one understands that, oh, that God is a person, and that, oh, I have an eternal relationship with God, let me engage in that relationship, then that liberation is perfect. So one may be a liberated person, one may already understand, I am spirit soul, aham brahmasmi. Then what does one do? One has to go further, understand, yes, I'm a soul, I have a relationship with God. Let me be situated in that relationship. Narayana Parayana, devotee of Lord Narayan. There are two kinds of jnanis. One is inclined to devotional service and the other to impersonal realization. Impersonalists generally undergo great endeavor for no tangible benefit. And therefore it is said that they are husking paddy that has no grain. Sthula tashavaghatina. The other class of jnanis whose jnana is mixed with bhakti are also of two kinds. Those who are devoted to the so-called false form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and those who understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Satchid Ananda Vigraha, the actual spiritual form. The Mayavadi devotees worship Narayan or Vishnu with the idea that Vishnu has accepted a form of Maya and that the ultimate truth is actually impersonal. The pure devotee, however, never thinks that Vishnu has accepted a body of Maya. Instead, he knows perfectly well that the original absolute truth is the Supreme Person. Such a devotee is actually situated in knowledge. He never merges in the Brahman effulgence. So one may have knowledge. One may have knowledge of the absolute truth. But then there are different varieties of knowledge that one may have of the absolute truth, that one may be inclined to bhakti, or another may be that one may want to merge into the impersonal Brahman, the idea to become one with God. So then one who is inclined towards bhakti, again, they may be having the idea that, oh, that the form of God is imaginary, or you can, imagine any form of God and then render service. But what is the truth actually? That God is a person. He has his Satchidananda form. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. When we hear from the devotees about God, about his form, then we can get real knowledge that how God is. Oh, he's a person. Oh, God has a form. His form is not material, it is spiritual. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Then we are getting the real knowledge of absolute truth. So it's not that God accepts God's form as false, or that, you know, that when God comes to the material world, he takes a form, and then when he goes back to the spiritual world, he has no form. No, the form that God has, it's his form. It is eternal. It's not false. It's real. It's eternal. It never disappears. So there's a difference between God and us. Right now, we are inside this material body, material form, but God never takes a material form. His form is always spiritual, Satchit Ananda. So, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, Text 32. Yene Ravindaksha Vimuktamaninas Vaiyasta Bhavat Avishuddha Buddhaya Aruya Krichrena Param Padam Tataha Patanti Aduntatrayusmat Angrayaha. O Lord, the intelligence of those who think themselves liberated but who have no devotion is impure. Even though they rise to the highest point of liberation by dint of severe penances and austerities, they are sure to fall down again into material existence, for they do not take shelter at your lotus feet. So Bhagavatam is saying that one, um, by one's own penances, by doing austerities, by one's own endeavor, one may get liberated. But that liberated means one understands, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. It's not easy. It's very difficult. It needs so much sense control, and not get involved in sinful reactions. So it's not easy. It takes lifetimes and lifetimes to come to this position. But what happens is one will again fall down because one does not understand. Okay, when one understands that I'm the soul, but then what activity does the soul do? So the soul is always active. And if the soul does not know about spiritual activity, then the soul will engage in material activity. So we'll again come to the material world. Evidence of this same point is also given in Bhagavad Gita 9.11, wherein the Lord says, Avajananti mam muda, manushim tanum ashritam, param bhavam ajananto, mama bhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. When rascals mudas see that Krishna acts exactly like a human being, they deride the transcendental form of the Lord because they do not know the Parambhavam, his transcendental form and activities. So Krishna is saying that when he comes to the material world, then people are mistaken. People think that Krishna's form is material. When Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita or doing so many other different leelas, people think this is a material form. But no, Krishna never takes a material form. He comes in his own spiritual form. Even when he's coming to the material world, he's coming in his own form. Srila Prabhupada explains that how if a king is going to the prison, the king does not need to wear a prison uniform. He can come and go as he likes. He's just going to visit. He does not need, he's not bound by the laws of prison. Similarly, when Krishna comes, he does not take a material form. He comes in his own transcendental form. Such persons are further described in Bhagavad Gita 9.11 as follows. Mogasha moga karmano moga jnana vichetasaha rakshasim ashuram cheva prakritim mohinim shritaha. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demoniac and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Such persons do not know that Krishna's body is not material. There is no distinction between Krishna's body and his soul. because less intelligent men see Krishna as a human being. They deride him. So Krishna is not a human being. Krishna is God. We think, oh yeah, Krishna is same like us. No, he is God. His form is not material, it is transcendental. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that anyone who can understand this, then for him, he immediately gets liberated, goes to the spiritual world, doesn't need to come back to the material world. If we can just try to understand Krishna's form is spiritual, his activities are spiritual. So here Prabhupada is saying there's no difference between Krishna's body and Krishna's soul. They cannot imagine how a person like Krishna could be the origin of everything. Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. Such persons are described as Mogashaha, baffled in their hopes. Whatever the desire for the future will be baffled. Even if they apparently engage in devotional service, they are described as Mogashaha because they ultimately desire to merge into the Brahman effulgence. So we can understand Krishna not by our mind, but only by devotional service. With our mind, we may try to try to understand God. It doesn't mean we don't do critical thinking. We do, but we accept what is mentioned in the Vedas, in the scriptures, and then we try to understand it with our mind. But we cannot imagine something with our own mind because then it's our imagination. It's not the truth, not the fact. So we want to hear about God in truth. We have to hear from the scriptures, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Engage in devotional service. Those who aspire to be elevated to the heavenly planets by devotional service will also be frustrated because this is not the result of devotional service. However, they are also given a chance to engage in devotional service and be purified. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17, Shanvatam Svakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridhi Antastohi Abhadrani Vidunoti Suhrit Satam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So one may be engaged in devotional service, but may have the desire to go to the heavens, heavenly kingdom. But as one continues to engage in devotional service, all the material desires will be purified. And who is the one who is purifying our desires? Krishna himself. He's the Paramatma in our heart. So the more we can engage in hearing and chanting, the more Krishna cleans our heart, cleanses the material desires from the heart. Love
Hare
for Krishna
Krishna.
is there in everyone's heart. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so
Hare
Shilpa,
Krishna.
that means what they are saying earlier are those, right, the class of men who are jnanis and yogis, correct?
Yes.
Who want to reach to the effulgence, and the other one who aspire for the heavenly planets. Are those class of men who are jnanis and yogis?
No, the Jnani Yogi finished. Now another class of men. Those who are engaged in devotional service, but who want to be going to the heavenly planets.
Okay, so these are not yogis,
No, these are devotees.
devotees.
Who are
Yeah,
devotees. They are engaged in devotional service, but they
but they
have
aspire to be,
desire.
They have desire to go to the heavenly planets.
Heavenly planets. Somebody may be engaged in devotional service and have the desire to go to heavenly planets, but as long as they are engaged in, because see, one may take up devotional service with the desire to go to the heavenly planet. that
Yeah.
let me engage in hearing and chanting because this is going to take me to the heavenly planets. But the more one hears and chants, then that desire also goes away.
Mm.
This is what is being explained here.
Oh. So there's nothing to do with the jnanis or yogis. No,
Of
because
this
they
part?
don't engage.
Of
Yeah,
this part?
because they don't
No.
engage, right? Devotional service at all.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. This is like somebody may take up devotional service with some material desire.
okay. Right.
So then, as soon as one takes up devotional service, the more one engages in devotional service, that material desire also goes away. One becomes purified.
Mm. Oh,
So, unless the dirt within the core of one's heart is cleansed away, one cannot become a pure devotee. Therefore, the word sudurlabha, very rarely found, is used in this verse, not only among hundreds and thousands, but among millions of perfectly liberated souls. A pure devotee is hardly ever found. So the idea we are trying to understand is how rare a pure devotee is, because mostly people have the desire to liberation. That's the ultimate idea that people have, that, okay, let me merge into the Brahman. So there are so many of them who would be liberated, but among of the millions of such liberated persons, hardly there's one pure devotee. Krishna himself says that bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyante Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. One who actually surrenders to Krishna is very rare. Therefore, the words Kotishva Api are used herein. Srila Madhvacharya gives the following quotations from the Tantra Bhagavad. Navakotyastu Devanam, Rishaya Saptakotaya, Narayanaya Sarve, Ye Kechit Tat Parayana. There are 90 million demigods and 70 million sages who are called Narayanaya, Narayanayana, devotees of Lord Narayan. Among them, only a few are called Narayan Parayana. So there's now Srila Madhvacharya is saying that Tantra Bhagavad is saying that. Tantra Bhagavad is saying there are 90 million demigods and 70 million sages. 90 and 70. They're all devotees of Lord Narayan. But there are only few who are Narayan Parayan, truly surrendered at the lotus feet of Narayan, completely surrendered.
Hare Krishna.
Narayanaya Deva. Hare Krishna.
So this is the saying, right? What Lord Krishna was thinking about when he was regretting, oh, why did Lord Indra not ask for pure devotional service rather?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Even though he's a devotee, if only, to save himself, he would rather ask for devotional service. Things would have been different.
Yeah. Not only
Yeah.
Indra, but all the demigods who were there praying to the Lord.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are so many different varieties of demigods there. Yeah,
they were
that's what it
asking
is.
for protection, huh?
Yeah,
And, not to be
that's
killed
right.
by Vritrasura, right?
Yeah, that's right. They were saying, come as incarnation to kill Vritrasur. The Lord is
Yeah.
there standing before them, and they could have easily asked him, please give me pure devotional service. So, Narayanayana Deva Rishi Adayastat Parayana Brahmadya Kechaneva Syu Siddho Yogya Sukham Labhan. The difference between the Siddhas and Narayan Parayanas is that direct devotees are called Narayan Parayanas, whereas those who perform various types of mystic yoga are called Siddhas. So direct devotees means they are pure devotees, completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Here we heard. Parikshit Maharaj was such a devotee, Narayan Parayana. We had heard in the first canto or something of Bhagavatam. So a devotee of the Lord. So going on, Vritrastu Sakatham Papam
Vrittastu
Vrittastu
Sakatham
Sakatam Papa
Papam
Sarvalokopatapanaha
Sarvalokopatapanaha
Sarvalokopatapanah
Itham Dridmati Krishna
Itam
Itham
Dridmati
Dridmati Krishna
Asit Sangrama Ulbane.
Asit
Sat
Sangrama
Sangrama
Ulbane.
Ulbane.
Vritrasur was situated in the blazing fire of battle and was an infamous, sinful demon, always engaged in giving troubles and anxieties to others. How could such a demon become so greatly Krishna conscious? It has been described that a Narayan Parayan, a pure devotee, is rarely found even among millions and millions of persons. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj was surprised that Vritrasur, whose purpose was to give trouble and anxiety to others, was one of these devotees, even on a battlefield. What was the reason for Vritrasur's advancement? Atra na samshayo bhuyan.
Atra
Atra
na
na
samshyo
samshaya
bhuya
bhuya
Shrotum kautuhalam prabho.
Shrotum
Shrutum
Kutuhalam
kautuhalam
Prabho
Prabhu
Ya Paurushena Samare
Ya Paurveshina
Paurushena
Samare
Samare
Sahasraksham Atoshayat.
Sahasrashtam
Sahasrashram
Atoshaya.
Atosayat.
My dear Lord Sukadev Goswami, although Vritrasur was a sinful demon, he showed the prowess of a most exalted Kshatriya and satisfied Lord Indra in battle. How could such a demon be a great devotee of Lord Krishna? These contradictions have caused me great doubt and they have made me eager to hear of this from you.
Yeah.
Shri Sutta Vacha
Shri
Shri
Sutta
Sutta
Uvacha
Uvacha
Parikshitotha Samprashnam
Parikshitotha
Parikshitotha
Samprashnam
Samprashnam
Bhagavan Badarayane
Bhagavan
Bhagavan Badarayana
Badarayane
Nishamya Shraddha Dhanasya
Nishamya
Nishamya Shraddha
Shraddha
Dhanasya
Pratinandya Vacho Brave.
Pratinandya
Pratinandivavacho
Vacho
Abrave.
Brave.
Sri Sutta Goswami said after hearing Maharaj Parikshit's very intelligent question, Sukadev Goswami, the most powerful sage, began answering his disciple with great affection. So even you all very intelligent. You all had the same question, right? That, oh, how come he is a devotee? And when we were hearing
Yes.
Vritrasur speaking, so Shri Shuka Vacha
Shri
Shri Sukha
Shuka
Uvacha
Uvacha
Shrinushva Vahito Rajan
Shinusva
Shanusva
Vahito
Vahito
Rajan
Rajan
Itihasam Imam Yatha
Itihasam
Hasam
Imam
Imam
Yatha
Yatha
Shrutam Dvaipayana Mukhan
Shrutam
Vaipayana
Dvaipayana Mukhan
Narada Devalad Api.
Narada
Narada
Devaladapi.
Devaladapi.
Shri Sukadev Goswami said, O king, I shall speak to you the same history I've heard from the mouths of Vyasadev, Narad, and Devana. Please listen with attention. So we can see, Sukadev Goswami, he's always saying, I heard this from where? I heard this from where? He's quoting the authority. Bhagavatam is all about hearing from authority. So, Asid Raja Sarvabhauma,
Asit Raja
Raja
Sarvabhauma,
Shura Seneshu Nripa,
Shura
Shurasene
Seneshu Vainapa,
Citraketur iti Kyato,
Citraketu
Citraketu iti
Kyato,
Kyato
Yasyasit Kamadhunmahi,
Yasya
Yasyasit
Kamadhu.
Kamadurmahi.
O King Parikshit, in the province of Shurasen, there was a king named Citraketu who ruled the entire earth. During his reign, the earth produced all the necessities for life. Here, the most significant statement is that the earth completely produced all the necessities of life during the time of King Citraketu. So the earth was happy. As we heard that when Prithu Maharaj was ruling, of course, initially the earth didn't give anything because Vena was there. But after that, Prithu came, and so the earth was happy, giving everything. Yudhishthir Maharaj, earth was happy, giving everything. So here, Citraketu was
Even
there.
King Parikshit, right? This time.
King Parikshit, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Even while King
Then
Parikshit was
Kali
there.
came. Yeah. The end.
Yes, that's right. So we can see that how important the ruler is. That when the rulers are so righteous, then all the necessities, earth is happy to provide all the necessities. So as stated in the Ishopanishad, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhanjitha magrada kasya sviddanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So this is Sri Isopanishad. This mantra in Isopanishad is telling that everything belongs to God, whether they are animate or inanimate, conscious, unconscious. They are dead matter or they're living beings. Everyone is belonging. They're controlled by the Lord. They're owned by the Lord. So one should take what is necessary for one's own maintenance. Whatever we need things. We can't say, oh, I don't need anything. Don't need anything, but we still have to breathe air. Air also belongs to God. So there are things we need. So Isopanishad is saying you take how much ever you need. So Krishna, the Supreme Controller, has created the material world, which is completely perfect and free from scarcity. The Lord supplies the necessities of all living entities. These necessities come from the earth, and thus the earth is the source of supply. When there is a good ruler, that source produces necessities of life abundantly. However, when there is not such a good ruler, there will be scarcity. This is the significance of the word kamadhuk. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, Text 4, it is said, Kamam Vavarsha Parjanya Sarva Kama Duga Mahi. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir, the cloud showered all the water that people needed, and the earth produced all the necessities of men in profusion. We have experienced that in some seasons, the rains produce abundance, and in other seasons, there's scarcity. We have no control over the earth's productiveness, for it is naturally under the full control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By his order, the Lord can make the earth produce sufficiently or insufficiently. If a pious king rules the earth according to the Shastric injunctions, there will naturally be regular rainfall and sufficient produce to provide for all men. There will be no question of exploitation, for everyone will have enough. Black marketeering and other corrupt dealings will then automatically stop. Simply ruling the land cannot solve man's problems unless the leader has spiritual capabilities. He must be like Maharaj Yudhishthir, Parikshit Maharaj, or Ramachandra. Then all the inhabitants of the land will be extremely happy. Understanding that everything belongs to God, a God-centered society. In a God-centered society, there is no want of necessities. Everything is provided. Tasya bharya sahasranam
Tasya bharya sahasranam
sahasrani dasha bhavan
sahasrani
Bhagavan.
santa kinaschapi nripo
Santani chapi nipo
na lebe tasu santitim santatim.
nati tasu santatim.
This Citraketu had 10 million wives, but although he was capable of producing children, he did not receive a child from any of them. By chance, all the wives were barren. 10 million wives. Can we even imagine
All of
that?
them. And all of them.
10 million is a lot.
It's a lot.
So maybe y'all want to add anything? There's 3 minutes left. I don't know if y'all want me to read this next one or stop here.
I think we can just read this one. Yeah.
Okay. Rupo Darya Vayojanma
Rupo Darya Vayo Janma
Videshwarya Shriyadide
Vishdeshwarya Shridya Divi
Sampanasya Gune Sarvesh
Sampanasya Gune Sarves
Chinta Bandhya Pater Abhut
Chinta Bandhya Abhu.
Citraketu, the husband of these millions of wives, was endowed with a beautiful form, magnanimity, and youth. He was born in a high family. He had a complete education, and he was wealthy and opulent. Nevertheless, in spite of being endowed with all these assets, he was full of anxiety because he did not have a son. It appears that the king first married one wife, but she could not bear a child. Then he married a second, a third, a fourth, and so on. But none of the wives could bear children. In spite of the material assets of Janmeshwarya Shrutashri, birth is in an aristocratic family with full opulence, wealth, education, and beauty. He was very much aggrieved because, in spite of having so many wives, he had no son. So we can see that he had all the four things that we want. We all want this. Being born in a good family, then being wealthy, having good education, and being beautiful. So he had all of this. Good family with full opulence. But yet he still had anxiety. What was the anxiety? No son.
No.
Certainly his grief was natural. Grahas life does not mean having a wife and no children. Because, Grahas life person enters Grahas life because they want children. Chanakya Pandit says, Putra hinam graham shunyam. If a family man has no son, his home is no better than a desert. The king was certainly most unhappy that he could not get a son. And this is why he had married so many times. Kshatriyas especially are allowed to marry more than one wife. And this king did so. Nonetheless, he had no issue. So, comments?
So nothing is in your hands.
Yes,
Everything is
so true.
His will. Yeah, the Lord's will.
Lord's will. Yeah, so true. As you try one time, 2 times, 10 million times, what do you do?
You have the belt, you have the thing, everything. You are ready to to get a child, but you can't.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
So
We have seen
rightly you
also,
said.
right? Yeah, so we have seen like many cases, right? We have seen people.
I'm sorry, I couldn't
Well,
hear very well. I'm sorry.
we have seen also, right? Like how in our, I mean, we have seen people also, like they have so much wealth, everything they have, but yeah, they don't have that sukh of having a child.
Yeah.
So
That's
Maybe they
true.
have another purpose in the life. So,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah. It's to understand that, we may have everything, yet something
But,
may not be
yeah,
there. And then that can be our anxiety. So the whole
that can,
purpose of this
yes,
material world is to get out of here. Huh?
yeah, true.
Yeah, the whole way it's made so that we can just get out of here soonest. So, as Sneha said,
So to get out of anxiety, I guess that's what acceptance has to be there.
acceptance.
Whatever comes,
Yes.
you right?
Yeah. So true. If we can accept whatever is coming our way, then we will have no anxiety. Or as Deepika said, let's find out what is our purpose then. What's the purpose? Yeah.
yes, yes. So,
Yeah.
so important,
Yeah.
We have been reading repeatedly from every chapter. All the devotees, they knew their purpose. The pure devotees, they knew their purpose. And they have said it in their prayers. So we can learn and understand from that. We all may find our purpose if we can really continue to read, chant, we will get that guidance. We will know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. So, thank you so much.
Hare
Srimad
Krishna.
Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada
Sure.
ki jai, Gaur Bhakta